everybody. I know that you have been asking us about insurance. The number one question we get all the time is, what are you going to do about medical insurance, health insurance? How will you take care of all your medical needs as you travel? So we have spent the summer researching all this, and we have finally come to a decision about what we're going to do. So I thought I'd share it with you here. So the first thing you need to know is that if you're going to get some sort of medical policy, you have to be within 30 days of departure for when you're leaving the United States. So we're now in that window, which means we could research and actually make some decisions. And as you can imagine, insurance changes all the time. So there is certainly a timeline of when it's too early and when it's too late. So I'm going to walk through what we learned, what we decided to do, who we're covered by, how much we are paying, and hopefully answer any questions that you might have. And you're welcome to post those below. I'm also doing a blog post, which I'll post below as well, that summarizes everything I'm saying here and gives you links and more resources. So the first thing we determined when we were looking for medical insurance is, number one, we had to understand some terminology because the terminology was really making us crazy. So there's a lot of terms about global medical insurance that kind of go back and forth, and I'm going to clarify those for you right now. So the first is travel insurance, the second is travel insurance with medical, and the third is medical insurance or health insurance for nomads or global needs. So what we're looking for is the type of medical insurance that we have here in the US, which right now we are covered by my husband's employer. Through his employer, we have medical insurance or health insurance. Some people might have Cobra or Obamacare, something like that. We were looking to replace that for being outside the US. We also were looking for a policy that did not include the U.S. And when we come back to the U.S., we'll get a temporary policy, which I'll explain in just a minute. So that's what we were looking for. So the first term we kept coming across was travel insurance. Travel insurance is strictly insurance that people generally get if they are making a short-term trip someplace. So, and this is going to cover lost baggage, missed flights, botched hotel reservations, and so on. That's travel insurance, and travel insurance will give you your money back if any of those things happen. The next term we came across was travel insurance with medical, which is travel insurance with medical coverage. Sorry, I've got to adjust my camera here. With medical insurance, but the medical is more about accidental type things. So you get food poisoning or you get hit by a bus or something. So travel insurance with medical is travel insurance, so it's covering your lost baggage and your missed connections and so on. But it also includes some type of medical coverage, which basically stabilizes you to get you back to the U.S. And then in the U.S., you will go with your medical coverage in the U.S. That's basically what travel insurance with medical is. The third type is global medical insurance or global health insurance. This is what we're looking for, and we're looking for that as a replacement for that medical insurance that we have with Steve's employer. There's a lot of branded insurance providers out there, and they like Insured Nomads, Global Nomad Insurance. There's all types of URLs and websites that get into that, and my arm's getting tired. And they are just brokers who are using keywords to make you go to their websites, but they're not selling anything different than what I just told you. They're selling you one of those three types of insurance. A lot of these places will sell all three types, but what you're looking for, if you're looking for what we're looking for, you're looking for global medical or global health insurance, which is targeted to expats and nomads. Expats and nomads are just terms that are thrown in there. It's just medical insurance. So like you pay a premium, you go to the doctor, you might have a copay, you can go to the hospital, you can go to emergency care, you can go wherever. That's what I'm talking about. So after understanding all of that, we finally figured out that there are about 4 or 5 major providers of global medical insurance for Americans traveling abroad long term. They are Geo Blue, which is Blue Cross Blue Shield, IMG, Aetna, Cigna, and there's probably a few more, but those are the ones that kept coming up. So we would go to the individual websites and we would run quotes and try to figure out how much insurance was going to cost us, and if it would have the coverage that we needed. Eventually, we settled on 2 different brokers and called those brokers, and that one broker was actually both brokers were recommended to us by different people. And when we called those brokers, what we found out was both of them represented the same sets of insurance companies. And when we went through the same sets of questions, we got very different answers from the two brokers, and were quoted very different amounts based on how we answered the questions that they asked us. Of course, they asked us about pre-existing conditions and so on and so forth, and we tried to answer the same exact way every time. So we were looking for a policy that had a $5,000 annual deductible and then at least $1 million lifetime coverage. So for Steve and me, he's 61, I'm 54, and he has no medical conditions. I previously had a hysterectomy due to cervical cancer, which was 4 years ago. And as we were going through our quoting, this is what we continue to say to the different insurance companies consistently. Those were our pre-existing. Steve didn't have any, and then I had the hysterectomy. Ultimately, we ended up going with a broker by the name of Justin. I'll put his information down below. And we went with IMG. Now, IMG ended up putting me in the silver category, in the bronze category, and Steve in the silver category. The difference between the two categories is I have $1 million coverage and he has a $5 million coverage, and they excluded my uterus, or my female reproductive system, I guess is ultimately what it was called, which in my mind, if I don't have it, why do I need to insure it? That's my risk, not what I'm recommending for anybody else. But in my mind, that I could justify that. And what the insurance also said was on my 5th anniversary, which will be in a year, I can ask for the higher coverage. So that's what we ultimately decided. We had to go through underwriting, and in underwriting, this stuff came out. And also, Steve had a minor thing that they decided not to include and excluded him, but they did not exclude him from that higher level of coverage. So he's in silver, I'm in bronze. Together, our two policies together with IMG, so that's a $5,000 deductible, $1 million for me, $5 million for him. It includes one wellness visit. Actually, it's a $250 credit towards a wellness visit for the year, and your typical hospital coverages and so on. In my blog post that I list below, I actually give you a link to the actual coverage. So if you want to read the fine print and so on, the link is there about what all the coverages is and all the co-pays and all the out-of-pocket and all that. Anyway, together the two policies are about $175 collectively for the two of us. So that is our health premium coverage monthly. Internationally, it covers everywhere but the US, Canada, Taiwan, Singapore, one more country, one small, maybe it was, I don't remember what the last country is, but it's a minor island country in Asia. It might be Hong Kong, I don't remember. Anyway, but it does include Europe and the typical places that we're going to go. So in the countries that it's not covered, we will, like the US, pick up one of those travel with medical policies for the 2 weeks or so or a month that we might be in that country. So in case we get hit by a bus or have something drastic happen that we're not planning on. So I hope that helps. That kind of concludes everything. Please read the blog post. There's more details in there, including the referral for our broker and the fine details on what the coverage actually is. And I'd love to answer your questions. And believe me, there are no stupid questions here, because we didn't even understand the difference between travel insurance and medical insurance when we started this all off, because it was very confusing at the get-go. Like talking to you guys. Thank you. Ask me questions, post questions, interact with me, and I'll talk to you later.